Hello everyone, it is your friendly neighborhood weasel with how to get your first Necramech inside of Warframe. Now, a couple of requirements. You do need to have your operator mode unlocked, and you need to be master rank 14 to actually have a Necramech. And one little thing, I don't know if you noticed, but if you actually like, comment and subscribe on this video, that would be greatly appreciated by me. And I would be very happy if I saw you do that. But now, getting into the actual video itself, go on to Deimos, of course, and then what I would recommend is, first things first, just press your 5 button, go into operator mode, fast travel, Lloyd. And then you're going to be teleported right here into this stand. There's actually usually a door there, which you need to switch to operator mode to actually access, but this is much faster. So, going into Necroloid standing, one thing that I want you to keep in mind is you will need clearance Odema, or best friends I guess, with the, the Lloyd standing, which is actually not that hard to get. Doing isolation vaults, as I previously mentioned, will allow you to farm up the necessary, I guess, items to increase your standing. So, if we go into offerings here, as you can see, we have a lot of cool stuff. Now, some I do not have unlocked yet, like for example this cool little Atan Kitha sculpture, and also some other cool parts. But what you will mostly need is Voidrig's blueprint, then Voidrig casting engine, capsule, weapon, and I think honestly that is I do think you need the cordage stock, a cordage receiver, and a cordage barrel as well, because this is the weapon that your Warframe, or sorry, not your Warframe, but your Voidrig will be using. Now, your Voidrig or your Necramech can use your archering weapons, so you do not necessarily need this. But this is going to be a decent enough weapon to actually have, so if you want, you can craft it. You can also buy mods like Necramech Intensify, Pressure Point. You can buy efficiency, drift for friction, which slide efficiency. You can buy flow, you can buy a scene, and you can also buy some Lloyd little things for your thing. You can also buy Necramech Vitality and Refuel as well. So, there you go. These are the parts. Now, a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind. You need damaged Necramech parts, and you also need Siltilient, which can be found inside of the Deimos or Deimos open world thing. Once you're doing these bounties, they fly around sort of like wisps do in the Plains of Eidolon, so you don't have to worry about that. Just keep an eye out. They look like little flying circles. They glow a little bit. If I find a picture, I'll put it up on the screen. If I don't, then you're just gonna have to, I guess, get lucky. I don't think I have it in the gameplay though. So you will need these damaged Necramech parts as well. Now, as you can see, I mostly have everything except the engine. Now, how do you get these? Well, you're gonna have to do bounties inside of the Plains of Eidolon. And which bounties do you need to play? Well, you're going to have to play isolation vaults. Now, these isolation vaults can be found when you fast travel to Mother, and then you will unlock them progressively. So the first one should be unlocked. Then you're gonna move on to the second one, then the third one. Now, it depends on what you need. From these, the only main differences are the level of the actual mission and how many Necramech spawn. Now, inside of these missions, of course, as I said, depending on the actual tier of Isolation Vault that you're doing, it is dependent on how many Necramechs do spawn. So if you play tier 1, only 1 Necramech will spawn. If you play tier 2, 2, and then 3, of course, 3 Necramechs respectively. Now, out of these Necramechs, you will get the broken Necramech parts that you need to actually craft yourself a Necramech. Now, these are a little bit harder to kill, honestly, than normal enemies are. The principle, as I said, of the Isolation Vault is pretty simple. You have a couple of tasks that you do in sequence, and then you go find this certain, I guess, Lloyd. Yeah, you find Lloyd. There you go. I finally remembered it. After killing the 2, 3, or 1 Necramech, and then you open up that Isolation Vault, and you get cool amounts of resources. Now, a couple of tips that I want to tell you guys. Resource booster and a resource chance booster would be honestly really good when playing this, because you will get every single aspect, so fishing, mining, just normal resources you will get inside of these isolation vaults, and of course doubling them up is going to be much better. Now, Warframes. What Warframes do I recommend? I personally love using Protea, I love using Revenant, I love using Mesa as well, and Excalibur, Umbra, or just Excalibur himself. These Warframes are pretty good at taking down the Necramechs and just the gameplay itself. Personally, I mostly use Protea because she seems the most fun to me, and she's really good at keeping the enemies, I guess, crowd controlled. Even though Revenant is pretty good, I wouldn't really diss Revenant, he is very good inside of these isolation vaults as well, so you can use him if you want to as well. Weapons, Exceltra, Ignis Wraith would be pretty good because the enemies are not that high of a level that you can't kill them with those weapons, and the Necramechs do have certain weak spots that you have to attack and damage until they are destroyed, so these weapons are AoE weapons, so you're gonna hit them either way. The Kubazar can be useful as well, I guess, and also the Kuba Brahma, but I honestly do prefer the Exceltra and or Ignis Wraith. Now, melee and secondary is not dependent. The secondary is mostly going to be one of two options, or the Epitaph or the Kuvanukorm, or maybe some kind of kick gun that you have. And the melee weapon is personal preference. I personally love using my Tenant Grigori, or you can use the Chronon Prime, or you can use the Necron Prime. The melee weapon is very dependent on your personal choices. So, after you destroy the Necramechs, open up the vault, you basically end the mission and then start all over again, and hopefully Lady Luck shines upon you and you get all the Necramech parts you need. These missions, if you have a decent squad, as I said, if you're farming Necramech parts, play tier 3 because you have 3 Necramechs. If you're just there for the isolation vaults, then play whichever one you want, and depending on the reward that you want. But as I said, the tier 3 is pretty good. If you play with a pretty decent squad and a decent setup, this is going to take you around maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 maximum, but not more than that. At least even when I play solo, it doesn't take me more than 10 minutes to complete these. So, and also you're gonna get the Animus things, I forgot what they're called, the Orcan Animuses, which are used for ranking up your standing with Lloyd, so that is pretty good. If nothing else, you can play the tier 1 and then slowly progress to tier 3, which will give you the ones that are worth the most, and it's gonna be a pretty easy grind fest for you guys. So, that is mostly it. That's how you get your first Necramech. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for all the recent subscribers, views, comments as well. I'm trying to read and answer all of them. I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, thank you guys so much. And this has been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.